Been to one. I've been to one. I go sit up there and say yes, yes, yes.
Yes, sir. 1 minute. Council, check your microphones, please. 1 minute. Call the meeting in order. Madam Clerk, if you would, call the roll, please.
Mr. Buckner, Reverend Campbell,
Check.
Mr. Hood,
Here.
Mayor Jones,
Here.
Mr. Mayo,
Here.
Vice Mayor Miller, Mr. Saunders,
Here.
Mr. Vogler,
Here.
Mr. Whittle.
Here.
Dr. Miller, check your microphone, please. Try it again.
Here.
How about now?
Very good. Good evening. Okay, we'll have an invocation by Councilman Sherman Saunders, followed by a pledge of allegiance. If everybody would stand, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. God, we come this evening to give thanks for your many blessings. Please continue to bless our nation, our world, your children everywhere. We ask for your guidance as we try to make the right decisions for the citizens of our city. There are many needs as well as concerns for safety, employment, health, education, finances, family stability, and peace, We ask that your love be seen in everything we do. By doing so, our city and everyone in it will be just fine. God, these blessings we ask in your name and for your sake. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to say good evening to those of you who are here in the chamber and those of you who are viewing by River City TV or Facebook or at your home. Good evening to you. Under communications, any citizen who desires to speak on any matter that's not on the agenda may come forward at this time. Any citizen who desires to speak on any item that's not on the agenda may come forward at this time.
Who do you want to mess?
Nobody.
Is that a citizen? Under the consent agenda, council, what's your pleasure? Councilman Vogler?
Mayor, I make a motion we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second by Councilman Mayo. Discussion of the motion. Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll, please.
Yes. Aye.
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 Michael, good evening to you. Review of general fund financials. Here comes some good news. Good evening. Ken, is his microphone on? Michael, you have to start all over again.
That's no problem at all. This evening you'll find the general fund financial statements in your packet. This is financial results through the end of March. This does mark our third quarter, so 75% of the fiscal year is completed at this time. You'll see the general fund revenues are continuing on in their positive path as we've seen for the first 3 quarters of this year. Revenues were at $77.8 million. That's 67% of budget. This is up $3.7 million above last year, March. Our increases are mainly seen in 2 categories, general property taxes and also our local consumer taxes. We have about $1 million more in general property taxes, and that is split pretty evenly, $500,000 with real estate and $500,000 with personal property. And this is a result of higher assessed values in our last assessment about a year ago. On the local consumer tax side, that's where $2.7 million of our increase is. And I'll touch on the main 4 items that we see increased activity in: business licenses, meals, sales, and lodging. Meals tax is about $1 million over where we were prior year. This year so far, for the first 9 months, we've collected $7.3 million. That's 86% of our budget. Again, we're at 75% of the year, but 86% of our budget has been collected. With sales tax, we're about $600,000 over last year. So currently we're at $8.1 million, and that's 80% of our budget. Lodging, also above last year by $425,000. Currently we've collected about $1.5 million, and that is 98% of our budget. I took a look at our lodging taxes collected through today. And we received a few payments the first week of April that really related to March. And if those had come in at the end of March, as they should have, we would have actually been $41,500 over budget. So we would have ended the 3rd quarter over budget and still have 3 months to go with
I got a
lodging
question
taxes.
on that too, Michael.
Yes.
Is there, can you put a per person to that amount?
I really can't. Those are self-reported by the local hotels. Possibly the Commissioner of Revenue may have some information as far as nightly stays, but I don't have that information. I'm sorry. And the last one, business licenses. Most of those are paid in March. Some companies opt to do it quarterly, but at the end of March, we were $535,000 over last year. We've collected about $5.3 million, and again, that's 98% of our budget. So with the quarterly payers, I'm sure we will exceed budget by the end of June with regard to business licenses.
Councilman Vogel has a question.
Yeah. To that point with the business licenses, do you have a rough estimate of, because it sounds like we have more, obviously this year than the previous. Do we know about how many that equates to?
I could find that out. I don't have that with me, but I can find out how many business licenses were issued compared to last year, so I can bring that back to you next month.
Well, thank you. But so just generally speaking, though, I mean, we have more businesses open now than.
I believe that is the case. Business licenses, after your business crosses a certain threshold of sales, their license is based on the volume of sales. So some companies pay a flat fee until they get it to a certain number of sales dollar-wise. But I can certainly look into the number of licenses compared to last year.
Thank you.
Okay. The only revenue that I have any concerns about is our state telecommunications tax. We budgeted about $2.6 million, and if I had to forecast that, I would say we're going to come in around $2.3 million, so about a $300,000 shortfall. I'm not concerned about this. Our overages and consumer-driven taxes and our real estate and personal property will more than make up for that deficit.
Why do you think we're coming in?
If I had to speculate, this is another one that's collected by the state and sent to us. If I had to speculate, I would say a large part of that would be perhaps residences had both a landline and cellular phones, and many of them are dropping the landlines, and I think we're seeing that. Also, perhaps streaming services are replacing cablevision type arrangements, and so I think those 2 things are playing into the decrease of tax there. But other than that, all of our state and federal revenues are right on target or appropriate with the expenditures that we have at this point. On the expenditure side, as a whole, we have spent $88 million. That's 71% of our budget, so still behind our 75% mark. Departmental spending is at 67% of budget. The major 2 categories that make up non-departmental expenditures are group health insurance, and that is just under 75%, so that's tracking well with budget. And our debt service is at 100%, and it should be. Most of our debt service payments are paid in September and March each fiscal year, so in March we made our last debt service payments, and so we have paid 100% of our budget at this point. With regard to transfer to schools, throughout the first half of the year, there was some delay in getting state funding in to reimburse the schools, and they were spending more of the local funding, but that is leveled out now. Our contribution to schools is at 73% of budget, so their state funding is caught up, and they're on track now, and so that's why that 73% is more in line with what we would expect at this point in the year. So all of that said, I have no other concerns. It looks like our fiscal year is going to end pretty well, and I'm looking forward to, as we close the fiscal year, to be able to tell you how it all turns out. But any questions?
Not a question, but a comment. Just want to thank you, city manager, and all your team. With increasing inflation, with increasing gas prices and everything else, for you all to take out time to find a break for our citizens with the used vehicle tax. Talk a little bit about that, because sometimes, as Councilman Hood mentioned at the last meeting, the things that we think are simple and understood is not. These tax bills that persons get twice a year or once a year, what's actually going to happen with this used vehicle tax, they should see something quite different that would be a savings, I suppose.
In some cases, that's true. As you know, one of the negative impacts of the pandemic was the disruption of the semiconductor chips that are used in automobile manufacturing. So we've seen a very stark decrease of supply in new cars, which translated into a decreased supply of used cars as well, because people are having to hold on to their cars maybe longer than usual. So this has driven up the value of all cars, new and used. Now, our personal property tax rate is the same as it's been, but the underlying value of the cars has gone up, which will result in a higher tax bill, because you just take the rate times the value of the vehicle, and that comes up with your tax liability. So they've increased quite a bit. I've seen cars increase anywhere from 25% to 45%, depending on how new they are. On average, about 30 or 35% increase in value. Now, each year, the state gives the city a set amount of money to spread among all of our personal use vehicle taxes, about $3.5 million, and we spread that across every taxpayer that has a personal use vehicle. That dollar amount doesn't change, so that's a set dollar amount every year. But with the increased tax liability that personal vehicle owners would see this year, we needed to do something to offset the drastic increase in that personal property tax. If we had not done that, the relief rate on personal vehicles would have been about 35%. Once we spread across the state money, that's about what everyone would have received, about a 35% reduction in their personal property tax for personal vehicles. So what we've done this year is we've added on about 30% additional relief. So that it'll help a lot with older vehicles. Typically, an older vehicle depreciates in value, and so your tax bill actually decreases a little bit each year. And so that should be what most taxpayers see with older vehicles. However, if they have a newer vehicle, they will see a marked increase in the assessed value, and there will be some increase to that tax, but we have tried our best to offset that as much as we can.
So a friend of mine who has a used older Mercedes and a Cadillac that was donated to him in a convertible, he should see some tax savings. Look at Tommy Bennett looking at me. Yeah, I'm talking about you. Thank you, Michael. Madison, you had your hand up.
Yeah, so on the 33 million disbursement to the schools, there was another, I guess there was a couple pages below on, I don't have it in front of me, but there was another close to $10 million disbursement on there.
For schools?
Yes, sir.
Their total budget this year was $33.6 million, and that's our normal contribution to their operating, plus debt service, plus any carryover they had last year. At the end of March, we had actually provided about $24.5 million of that so far to the schools.
So, it was on the agenda part that I read on my phone, and it was like on page 4 that it just said, I did read the $33 million, and then I also read a $9 million.
That would represent the amount of the budget that has not been sent to the schools yet. We encumber that because our thought is they will use their funding or carry over what's left, and so we mark that as an encumbered amount for schools. I think that's the $9 million.
Stays in the pot, or that just stays in the pot and is distributed?
More than likely, they will use that by June 30th, but as is customary in prior years, we would allow them to carry some of that over if they don't spend it all.
Thank you.
So to Councilman Whittle's point, the school has $33 million. They've used $24 million. They have about $8 or $9 million left. Councilman Vogel.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. And thank you for bringing up the point about the property tax relief, because I know myself and probably a lot of other council members have gotten questions about it, of folks not quite understanding what that meant. And some people thought, does that mean I got to pay more or all these things? And Michael, you explained it great. And, the short version again is that tax relief is built into everybody's bill every year anyway, but because of the increased value and assessment of used cars, and I mean, you drive across any used car lot in America right now, you're lucky to find cars, and so the value of these cars in existence has gone up, therefore the assessments have gone up, and so our tax rate, even though it is flat, folks would be paying more, if not for us now increasing the amount of relief. And so I'm appreciative to you and Ken and everybody who worked to do that, to make sure our citizens are not getting hit with even higher bills because of what they're having to pay through gas and everything else right now. Inflation is insane. And so anything we can do to help, I'm very appreciative of. I was wondering if you could also take a minute to, because I brought it up, a couple months back, and we discussed it here in some meetings about the real estate tax relief and tax exemptions for senior citizens and the permanently disabled, and trying to expand access to that for more of our citizens and more of our senior citizens. Could you touch on the changes that are coming with that?
Yes, I believe in the next couple of council meetings, there'll be a first reading and a move to adopt a change in the city code. Our first step to enhance the relief for elderly and disabled real estate is to raise the income limit from $20,000 to $30,000. We're also doing away, used to there was an option, depends on how your income fell. You either had the ability to abate the tax, which means you would not owe any, or defer it, which means it would go into basically a holding, and eventually it would have to be paid once the property changed hands. So the code change we are proposing is to increase the income limit to $30,000, and also to do away with that deferral option and just make it either 100% abated or 50% abated, depending on income level. That may not be the last change we make. It's hard to know the effects of that change. Obviously, we don't know how many people are going to apply, how many people will qualify for the enhanced abatement. So once we see that after a fiscal year, then we'll be in a position to assess and see if there's any additional enhancements we can make to that policy. But there is a change coming that will help.
Thank you. And Mayor, I think, the important thing out of all this in the last few minutes is that this city council and this city staff has worked really hard to provide tax relief for more of our citizens, and it's reaching more of our citizens than ever before, and especially with what's happening nationally right now, I think that's very important, and a credit to all those in this room who worked to make that happen. Thank you.
Excellent point. And continue to look for savings. Can you do me a favor, you and Ken, when you're looking at what Councilman Vogler just stated, just consider the veterans with their seniors. I didn't hear you mention the veterans. We have a lot of veterans that have given so much to our community. And you just look, I know you mentioned the senior citizens disabled, but there's a lot of our veterans that could actually benefit from that as well. So consider that.
And there is existing an abatement program for veterans. I believe they have to be totally disabled through active service. But if there's anyone out there that feels like qualify for that, they need to look out for those applications.
Any more questions for Michael? Michael, we appreciate you coming every month. Thank you so much. Thank you. Under item B, consideration of releasing existing tax liens on parcel 21914 and parcel 22219. Councilman Vogler.
Yes, Mayor, I move we adopt a resolution approving and authorizing the release of city-held liens against real property identified as parcel 21914, 120 and 122 Kemper Road, and 22219, 124 and 126 Kemper Road to facilitate their transfer to the Danville Neighborhood Development Corporation.
It's second by Councilman Saunders. Discussion of the motion. Madam Clerk, if you would, call the roll, please.
Aye.
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 Communications City Manager.
I have nothing this evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy City Manager. Thank you. City Attorney.
Nothing this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. City Clerk. Roll call, please.
Nothing this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Just wanted to bring everybody's attention to Pennsylvania County Community Action. It's holding a mutt strut. If you have a dog, whether he's a mutt or a real dog, bring him out the strut. That'll be held May 21st at Chatham High School track, and there are going to be various prizes. There'll be a lot of food served, and they're giving awards to the biggest dog, the smallest dog, and the best dressed dog. So if you have a dog, bring him out. It's a fundraiser for him, and I'm going to be emceeing it. I don't have a dog.
You don't have a dog in a fight? Dog in that fight.
And the Humane Societies from both Pennsylvania and Danville will be there, and they will also have their dogs and telling you how you can adopt a pet if you need one.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Vice Mayor Miller,
I see Tommy Bennett in the audience today. He's attended his first Planning Commission meeting last week. We appreciate you serving on that committee. He still's not ready to disown the Appointments Committee and the rest of the council for appointing him. That time may come. But thank you for doing that. Talked with Cecil Bridgeforth today, Reverend Bridgeforth. He's now retired from Shiloh Baptist, but he's still preaching. He did a Sunday Easter service this weekend. And speaking of him, his son, Bishop Ezekiel Bridgeforth, was at the Almagra dedication at the venue the other day, Friday, and that was a great event. They've got an events center they call the venue. That several people, including Miss Jackson, Ashley Jackson, have been instrumental in going and developing that. If you don't think Almagra is not a community, go to the summertime. It's just usually after 4th of July, near Wallace Irby's place. There'll be hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, come in and celebrate the community. And you ask people, and I have, where are you from and why are you here? They'll say, well, I'm from Baltimore, but I came back. I grew up in Almagra. I'm from Philadelphia. I'm from Atlanta. I'm from Detroit. These people grew up there, and this is their neighborhood, and they come back almost every year to celebrate. It's really a great event. So it's really good to have this. And the other day, Councilman Saunders and Campbell and Hood were with me as we helped them dedicate and do the ribbon cutting for their event center. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Saunders?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Mr. Vogler?
Yeah, just a few things I wanted to bring to folks' attention. The Danville Wine Festival will be April 30th at the Community Market. It's a great fundraiser for local organizations. So Danville Wine Festival is back after some COVID break, and looking forward to seeing that. Racing and Tasting, of course, was a few weeks ago, and good to see everybody out and about enjoying that again. There will be a Michael Jackson tribute show May 1st at the North Theater, which is going to be very exciting. I'm looking forward to attending, and I've heard Councilman Hood might get up there and moonwalk as well. I'm not sure, but May 1st is going to be a great show. The person who's coming in to do it is one of the best that you'll find, and so great show coming here to Danville May 1st at the North Theater. And on May 2nd, and Ken or Earl or somebody maybe can help me with the details. I know the Schoolfield district, the work that's being done there's going to be the next step in that. I believe May 2nd, there's going to be some events and meetings going on.
Yes, I don't have it in front of me, but I know all week there are events planned related to Schoolfield, but I believe it does start on the 2nd.
So if folks look up on Facebook or Google the Schoolfield District in Danville, they'll be able to find the information. And Mark Aaron, as awesome as he is, may have it dropped here on the broadcast before we go off the air tonight. But I know that there are a lot of great things happening there. Of course, exciting things coming to Schoolfield, and we want our citizens to be involved in that process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Whittle?
Yeah, actually, I was in Almagra looking at one of the properties over there that had been a former hospital. And I'm gonna use Earl's eyes right here and let him read what's on the marker there. Ball field that he had there that was the first lighted in the area that I thought was
Peters Park?
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it, so I went and just had to check it out, which I thought was.
So you want me to read this in its entirety? It's a historic marker that was recognized as Peters Park. I think we all know where that is. James Peters Sr., 1883 to 1970, opened Peters Park, also called the Almagra Baseball Stadium, at this site in 1948. The park was home to the Danville All-Stars, an African-American baseball team that Peters sponsored. The stadium was state-of-the-art when it opened, being one of the first in the country to boast lights to permit nighttime usage. Peters Park became an important part of the African-American community, hosting Sunday afternoon baseball games as well as community events. In 1952, the park closed because of the racial integration of baseball and the ability to watch the sport on television.
Just showed me the enormous amount of history that came out of the area, which was interesting to me. I don't have my contact in, Mayor. But the other thing that I just wanted to see if the city manager had a chance to check on Mountain View Avenue's traffic by any chance. I thought our police force had come in the next day and they had set this thing up, and they were setting it up for something different.
Okay.
But just to see if we can help slow down the traffic, because we have Forest Hills, Averett, GW, and there's been 6 or 7 accidents there. Nobody's been killed yet, but I sure would like if they can take a look at that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Buckner, Reverend Campbell, Mayor Jones.
Councilman Campbell and Councilman Buckner has taken some well-deserved time off with their families, and I'm sure they're watching, so hope you all enjoy. I won't tell where you all are at. I just hope you all are enjoying yourself. Just want to say just briefly, a lot of persons in our community, Councilman Vogler, we talk about this, Councilman Saunders, all the time, and we're not going to stop talking about those partnerships. But I just want to pause tonight and say thank you to all of those many partners who support us in this city. I was just thinking about, we get ready to come up on college graduation in a couple of weeks, and my son is graduating from ODU, and I think Ken and Clark and many of us have young people in college. But I'm excited, but I was thinking about it, Ken, when you and I talk about you going back and forth up and down the road with your children in college, Clark. I was thinking about persons who really helped our children, from educators and everyone else. I just want to pause and say thanks you all hear me talk about Mildred Richardson all the time. I wondered about my son. I don't know if I'm the only parent who did. But for all of his years in school, she took out time. She had a program, Sherman, they gave her a vision called College Bonanza. And with college, and you all remember College Bonanza came here to City Council, and it was Alexis Urquhart and so many persons who were part of College Bonanza, because parents like me did not know all the ins and outs of how to get their kids in college, and we know our kids didn't know. So there was a group of adults that came together that taught them about financial aid and taught them about all the stuff that they needed to do. And I'm happy to say my son is graduating. Has nothing to do with me. From Old Dominion University, has nothing to do with me, but it was persons like Mildred Richardson. And then to see a couple of weeks ago, Councilman Mayo and Tommy and I, we went to Project Imagine, another one of our great events in the city. And Robert David asked me to come and speak, and I brought Barry and Tommy with us. And then Tommy presented to them that he wanted to give something from the NAACP and Councilman Mayo to these young people for all their hard work. And he is sponsoring a trip to A&T in Greensboro at no cost to the kids. We got a sponsor, some of our partners are sponsoring the bus trip. And so then another one was Cazale has partnered with our Project Imagine, and everybody knows Casey. And this coming Monday, Sherman, she has sponsors, Madison, that at Skate Town, the young people that are at GLH Johnson get to attend the skating event at no charge because of the partners. So there are many partners that we have in our community who have, Councilman Vogler said it tonight, those of you who already seen us before, because he went live before we came, we thank you. And I appreciate those persons, because to support our city, to support our city staff, and then to see that our city staff is looking for ways to find tax relief, looking for ways to make things easier for our community. I like what you did, Councilman Whittle, being able to celebrate some of our historians in our community, because we didn't do this on ourselves. And Councilman Vogler, hate to keep calling you out, but you mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. There were council persons who sat in D.C. to help us to get where we are. There were mayors, there were city staff who are retired that helped us get to where we are. And I just wanted to pause tonight and say thank you all. Can you all join me in applauding these wonderful people? Thank you all so much. On that note, this meeting is adjourned.